Hey, what's happening, Roland? Well, today is Friday, and it's actually the second week of October, and it's an amazing week. Look at the weather. Hey, the weather's finally changed. The cold front hit. It's kind of tough for fishing for a while the cold front hits, but it makes it better in the long run because what it did, it lowered the water temperature, say 10 degrees all over the state and all over North Florida and Alabama and all the places I've been this week. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about some of the things that we did this week, and I'm going to show you how we caught the fish, show you some of the tackle, show you some nice pictures as well. Anyway, go buy all my toys here. I've just been working on my airboat back here, got my other airboat all fixed up. Let's go back to this boat right here. This is my regular Z21 bass boat, and it's all set up, and it just did a good job, and I used it all week. And I started off the week, the early part of the week in Alabama. I was up with Barry Maynor and Andrew Nordsby and Will Fowler, the old Frog Toggers guy. And look at this picture right here. Okay, here's Andrew and I. This was like the last Saturday or Sunday. I forget which day it was. And Andrew, well, that's a bunch of 3 and 4 pounders, and nothing real special, but just kind of representative of what's happening on Gunnersville. And it was a Frog Togs day because, see, years ago I got involved with Frog Togs, and Andrew works for Frog Togs as well. And Will Fowler, who I actually fished with this last week, he was up there, and I had a really good time with him. But also I fished with Barry Maynor and this other guy, Slick. Let me just tell you what happened here. Let's go forward. Let's go out of this picture, and let's go right here to this next picture. Oh, this was just the other day. This was just 2 days ago. The cold front hit Florida, and that's my good tournament buddy. That is Jerry Brousseau, and it's just a 4-pound bass. That's not a big deal. I caught her on a flipping stick. Everybody that, when I do these little updates for the week, people want to know what I did. And basically what I'm doing there, if you notice the hyacinths in the background, we're on the Headwaters area, and we're taking these weights. This is the 1.5 ounce tungsten weight from Spro, and I'm taking that and I'm flipping it in those hyacinths. Water's about 3 or 4 feet deep. And I want to show you something about this little setup. I tie a snell knot setup, and 100% of the time, because of the concave little end right here at the weight, 100% of the time when I pull up on the hook, see how the hook point comes up, no matter which direction it's pointed? The hook point, 100%, not 99.9, not 98, but 100% of the time, the hook point comes up because I have a snell knot tied just a certain way, and that's what causes that to happen. When I put the hook on there, onto the crawl worm, I'll come in there and I'll just hook it Texas style. But here's the whole point of the deal. I'll bury that hook real well into the side of the worm. When I go real hard, the fish it's going to come up. Every time the hook point's going to come up, it's going to hook the fish in the top of the jaw. And anyway, it's a way more efficient way of doing it. Also have the rod that I wanted to explain. Down here in Florida, I'm fishing such heavy cover that I use a really stout favorite flipping stick. It's the stoutest one they have. I even put a little extension on the handle, and I use the cushion button because I put it in my stomach or in my belt line, and it gives me more leverage and more power. I can get them out of the weeds a little bit better. And that's 65-pound test braid, by the way. And so anyway, we jacked up a couple really good fish, and that was at the Headwaters Lake. Let me go a little bit farther. And here's Jerry with about a 5 or 6 pounder. It's not real big. But the point is, you see the hyacinths, and he has a big favorite flipping stick as well. We're dropping those weights down in there and jigging it just a couple times and going to the next spot. Now, we missed a couple. I missed another big one, about 5 or 6 or 7 pounds. But this was all on a cold front. What you have to realize is that with the cold front, things don't bite quite as well as they did. This was just Tuesday of this week, or Tuesday, Wednesday of this week. And you notice that it's overcast, and the wind was blowing. It was actually cold that day. We had Frog Togs on that morning, and it was quite cool. And for Florida, because it had been 100 degrees, it was only like 80 degrees. So that was really a big deal. And what happens, no matter what the temperature is, if the water drops about 10 degrees, then what happens, it really kind of slows them down. That's kind of what happened on that deal. Okay, let's back it up just a little bit farther. Let's go to another picture. Now here I'm fishing. Now I'm up in Alabama. Okay, let's go back a couple more days. And last Sunday or so, I was back in Alabama, and this is my good friend Barry Maynard from Decatur, Alabama, and we're fishing Wheeler Lake, and that's not a largemouth, folks. That's a 4.5 pound smallmouth. That's really a nice big smallmouth. And what he caught it on? See this little tank right here? That's a live minnow tank, and there's live minnows, and I'm going to show you. I'm throwing a net just like I do for the shiners here, and if we catch these live shiner, well, these aren't shiners. These are actually shad. These are live shad, about this big. You'll see them in the picture in just a minute. And we're taking that on this rod. I'm going to just show you the rod that we're using for that. And what's a big deal about it is the drop shot arrangement. Okay, this is a favorite rod. It's only got 10-pound test braid here, and this is 8-pound test fluorocarbon. Now look at the hook arrangement. It's hard to see this hook, but this is a hook. It's called a drop shot hook. And how I put the hook on there, see the point of the hook? It's just a little 1/0 hook. It's always pointed up. And how I do that is that I take my line double and I go through and tie a polymer knot going through the front of the hook and holding the hook like this, and then pulling it down tight, and it kind of comes up that way. And I just pulled my split shot off. I just hit a little split shot. I just pulled it kind of hard, and the split shot came off, which is not a good deal. But anyway, normally I have a little split shot. If you notice, it's a number 7 split shot, and it was right here on the line, about a foot up the line. Well, what we did in both Lake Wheeler and also down at Pickwick, and also all over the place where we fished live shad, we'd either find a bridge piling, or we'd find a part of a barge tie up, or even on the river channel we did the live shad. But anyway, it was really quite a deal. Okay, let's go ahead now. Now I've shown you that, and I'll show you what we're doing here. Okay, let's go to the next picture. Now, that's a really cool deal. That's not a largemouth, and that's not a smallmouth. That's a 4-pound spotted bass. Now, a spotted bass is an entirely different bass. It has a different limit size, and most lakes, they only allow a 12-inch limit. For example, on this system here in Decatur, you can keep spotted bass 12 inches long. The smallmouth have to be 15 inches long, and as well as the largemouth had to be 15 inches. So this is a monster spotted bass, 4 pounds. That's really a big one. And I caught him dropping down with the live scope. I'm looking at the live scope, and I'll show you what the live scope is here in a minute in front of this boat. And dropping down in about 10 feet of water with that little bitty rig I showed you, with little live shad, and those big smallmouth, largemouth, and spotted bass are hitting on all these little pilings and stuff like that. Okay, so let's look at the next picture. Okay, the next picture is, oh, this is really a big one. Woo! That is a 6-pound smallmouth. And now we're fishing below Wheeler Lake, below the dam at Wheeler, in actually the upper end of Wilson Lake. And what that is a 6¼ pound smallmouth. That's really a nice big smallmouth. A 6¼ pound smallmouth. And I'll tell you what this guy caught it on. He caught it on and I don't have one. I have some Spro. Well, anyway, we caught it on some kind of a swim bait deal, and also we caught some on chatterbaits. This is the chatterbait we were throwing out in the current. That's a 5/8 ounce chatterbait, and that was a big deal. The chatterbait, as long as we were throwing some swim baits as well out there in the heavy current. That's all a big discharge water from the dam, and we're throwing that on. That's on heavy braid. This is actually something I did down in the Everglades with Jerry, and that was catching a lot of fish too, some largemouth. But that also worked for the smallmouth and the big drum on below the Wheeler Dam. Now let's just go to the next picture, and I'm just gonna. There's another lure called a scrounger, and I don't have one with me. I lost my scrounger, and Spro is starting to make them. Actually, Lucky Strike had been making scroungers, and that's what we were using. And when he caught this big 6-pound bass, he caught it on a scrounger on light line. Okay, let's go to the next picture. Okay, here's they're discharging water. This is below the Wheeler Dam, and they're opening up the gates because these locks are right here, and they're doing big barge traffic back and forth, and that all boils up. And sometimes when it's all churning around, you throw your in this case, you can throw a minnow in there, you can throw a scrounger in there, you can throw a chatterbait in there, and that's all a really neat place to fish. Okay, let's try the next spot. The next spot is there's a drum. Now that's about a 5 or 6 pound drum. The other thing it hits almost every time you drop it down there on these bridge pilings and stuff is a daggone drum. And these drums, they fat like a smallmouth. You think they're a big smallmouth, and you set the hook and you think you've got a great big fish, and it's a 5 or 6 or 7 pound drum, which is not the big deal. Okay, let's try the next picture. Okay, now here I'm throwing a cast net. I'm actually getting the bait. You notice I have my big 10-foot cast net that I use here in Florida. I throw the bait, and watch the next picture. Well, I don't know if it's right here or not. Oh, okay, that was the result. That's a 7 pound largemouth caught behind this bridge piling on Pickwick Lake. I'm down below the lake throwing live shad on this little bitty spinning rod and catch a giant largemouth. So what a deal. I mean, that's a big largemouth on a little bitty spinning rod, 8 pound test line in a current. You notice there's a lot of current here. Okay, now watch this next picture because that's so cool. I'm throwing the net. This is the live scope on the net, and it's showing this net sinking down. See the net there? That's actually, and the shad are in the center. See the shad are all on the bottom. Shad are in the net. And so actually I'm catching shad in the net. I've just thrown the net, and I've caught shad. And so that's really cool. Now, okay, let's go to another lake. This is the last couple of days. I'm now back with Will Fowler. I told you about the Frog Togs guy. This is my Frog Togs friend. He's my connection, and we're in Guntersville. We're catching little small bass right now on this this little bait right here, and this ended up being a pretty big deal with both Andrew and with Will Fowler when we fished Guntersville. That's a little 1/8 of an ounce buzzbait, 1/8 of an ounce with a little fluky tail, and that thing has a clacker to it. It really clacks good. Okay, so that's that deal. Okay, let's go one step farther, and I'll get you right here. Okay, now here you can see the buzzbait. See the buzzbait? Will and I just caught that on that very same buzzbait I just showed you, a little couple pound bass out in the middle of Guntersville Lake, and we caught 6 or 8 nice little bass, 2 and 3 pounds. Okay, that was the buzzbait deal. Okay, now I'm with Andrew Nordsby. He's also in Guntersville. The next day, the last day that I fished Guntersville, I fished with Andrew. It was a rainy day. It was a Frog Togs day. And there I'm flipping again, just like I did with Jerry. I'm flipping this crawworm into the heavy milfoil and grasses. And okay, see right here, I'm flipping, and I caught that good bass. Well, anyway, the other thing we caught him on was jerkbait. So that's a little Spro jerkbait, and he caught a 2 or 3 pounder, and we caught plenty of fish on that. So that's kind of the deal right here. I'm not going to go any farther. I think that's the end of the thing. Anyway, folks, that was my week. I caught a lot of fish. It was just a great week. The cold front made a change, but we still fished and caught fish. But the neat thing about it is it's cooled the water down. It's made it a lot more comfortable, and I got a lot of good bookings coming up down here at Headwaters. Hey, I hope I explained a few things about what I'm doing and how I'm catching fish. Hope I'm helping you out, and we'll see you again soon. And by the way, hit that likes button. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you again soon.